Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Now, just a little heads up, I'm traveling all over Asia. I'm currently staying in an Airbnb and there's this pesky little bird outside of my window that just won't stop chirping. So if you hear little chirps in there, my apologies. But for the most part, I mean, it should be fine. This mic usually doesn't pick up background noise at all. But anyways, with that out of the way, once again, we gotta talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Like I keep telling you guys, she is quickly becoming the face of the party. I mean, she's the new face. Now, you might be thinking that that's a purposeful long-term play that the Democrats are making, recrafting the party's image in AOC's likeness. The future of the party is democratic socialism. And while that might inevitably be the end game, I don't think that's what the thought process is at all. What's really going on is AOC is being used as a puppet by the establishment left in the midst of a highly contested election season to help Joe Biden where he fails the most, at appealing to young voters. Obviously, this crusty old fool isn't exactly popular with the nation's young voters, and so this is the tactic. It's empty, vapid, progressive, left-wing pandering, and AOC seems perfectly willing, in fact, she seems enthusiastic, to do the establishment's bidding. Yep, AOC, the counterculture, anti-establishment candidate, continues to shill on behalf of the old crusty establishment. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on as we continue on the AOC as a massive fraud saga. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so AOC does it again. Of course, in typical AOC fashion, not only proving to everyone that she's a bought and paid for shill, but also embarrassing herself in the process. Take a look.
So there are over 40 million student loan borrowers in the United States. Today, President Biden just unveiled a plan to offer relief in some way, shape, or form, either complete or partial, to 30 million of them. 30 million student loan borrowers are going to start seeing relief.
Are you one of the people who will benefit from this program?
Now, I don't think I will be. Actually, I'm going to be one of the few that doesn't. I'm a member of Congress. I'm a little bit outside the threshold and bounds. But if I wasn't, just a few years ago, waitress me 5 years ago would have benefited from it. This is huge. This is people getting their student loan forgiveness, their student loans canceled. It means that, it's hope to buy a house or have a kid or travel abroad or maybe even go back to school and pursue a career that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. I mean, one of the reasons that's not me now is because I didn't feel like I'd be able to afford medical school. And so hopefully someone else who's at an ISEF competition somewhere will be able to do that because of this. So
yeah, you heard it here first, folks. AOC's mega brain genius idea, having taxpayers foot the student debt bill, apparently so these young students can go back to school and accrue more debt for taxpayers to take on. As per usual, absolutely idiotic. But more than anything, continued proof that AOC will do anything to please her DNC bosses. I'm not going to play the clip because I've done it so many times in all of these videos, but she continues to prove to us that she is an actor, hired for the role of being a young, progressive trailblazer after auditioning for the role. An actual actor. AOC is supposed to represent the anti-establishment, communist left. You would expect her to not want to have anything to do with the Biden administration, but instead, she's pushing the Biden scam. That's exactly what this is. AOC should be signaling her frustration with the Biden administration, and most importantly, with the Biden administration's constant lies, misdirection, and false promises, especially on the topic of student loans, but instead she props it up. The reality is, Biden has no intention, in fact, he never had any intention to cancel student loans, or rather subsidize student loans on the backs of the hardworking taxpayer. They knew from the start that it was never actually a feasible plan. Nancy Pelosi admitted that well over a year ago.
People think that the President of the United States, is this more on the subject than you ever want to know? Will you let me know? People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
If she was an honest actor, she'd be calling out the constant lies, the empty pandering, but instead she pushes the message. She's siding with Joe Biden, even though she knows Joe Biden isn't serious about delivering student debt relief. He's just desperate and flailing in the midst of an election as his approval rating is below 40% for the most part, and he's trailing Donald Trump in every key state. We're seeing a disingenuous last-ditch effort to somehow turn this whole thing around, even though it's clear that it's never going to happen. He's already tried before, and we saw where that led.
Tens of millions of people's debt was literally about to get canceled. But then some of my Republican friends and elected officials and special interests sued us, and the Supreme Court blocked us. But that didn't stop us. No, I mean it sincerely. We continue to find alternatives passed to reduce student debt payments.
Obviously, the courts are going to block him. He does not possess the authority to deal in matters of debts. Only Congress can get involved. And obviously, that's never going to happen. So why are we even having a conversation about this? Well, simply because Democrats are that dishonest. I mean, this is what they do. They get elected on false promises. We're going to give you free crap. Vote for us. But then the free crap never comes. You know, there's a word for that. It's a very simple word. It's spelled F-R-A-U-D. Fraud. These people literally say anything to get elected. You know, the Republicans are always the bad guys. The Republicans, they don't care about the people. Republicans, or let's call it conservatives, get a bad rap because they're willing to deal in this interesting phenomenon called reality. Not gonna happen. I hate to break it to you. Bad news. But there's obviously devastating unintended consequences attached to these kinds of supposed altruistic policies. Conservatives are willing to deliver the disappointing news that reparations doesn't make sense, isn't going to happen, student debt loan relief isn't going to happen, government subsidized housing for all, and uncontrolled immigration where everybody gets free crap and free healthcare and free housing and free this and free that simply doesn't make sense, and so it's not going to happen. You know, I guess Republicans are the bearers of bad news, and so they get a bad rep, but the people who constantly promise and never deliver, the people who have been promising to the black community, for instance, for decades, but have yet to deliver really any significant impact, they're supposedly the good guys. It's so utterly ridiculous, and it's all completely transparent. You know, every 4 years, the establishment DNC is going to do what they do. They're going to bring their little socialist puppets on the stage. NPR is already writing about it. Bernie Sanders helped Biden get young voters in 2020. What will happen in this election? Well, we've already seen what's happening. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden teamed up last week to talk about the billionaires.
When he thinks the cameras aren't on, he tells his rich friends, quote, "We're going to give you tax cuts."
Can anybody in America imagine that at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, billionaires are doing phenomenally well, that he's going to give them huge tax breaks at his rallies?
There are 1,000 billionaires in America, in this country. They pay an average tax rate of 8.2% federal taxes. So I have a plan. We have a plan. Asking his good buddies to begin to pay their fair share.
And so they're parading the socialist leftists out there in another dishonest, pathetic grift. And of course, as per usual, we come to the exact same point or the exact same question. The question is it going to work this time? Well, I'm not so sure it is. I think maybe, just maybe, this next generation has swallowed the red pill. According to recent polling data, that might be the case. The polls are suggesting a huge shift in the electorate. Are they right? A significant reversal from recent history. President Joe Biden is now struggling with young voters, but performing better than most Democrats with older ones. A Fox News poll last month showed Trump leading Biden among voters under age 30 by a whopping 18 points in a head-to-head matchup, and by 21 points with independents and third-party candidates included. So I guess we'll have to see exactly what happens on election day. It seems like young voters have had enough of the false promises, or maybe it's just his stance on Israel, I don't know. All I know is that Democrats are suffering with young voters, and this is their pathetic response. How utterly disgraceful, and oh how obvious it is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has essentially sold her soul to the DNC devil. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.